computer. Okay.
Okay, hello everyone. I am Jess. For those of you who don't know me, I see we have some new faces on it. It makes me happy. I just wanted to chat about kind of like trusting the process, and I know that can mean a lot of different things in a lot of different ways. But what really kind of sparked this was partly my own relationship with nutrition and the nutrition programs, but also seeing everyone starting and like going through 9-week control freak, because I've noticed a common theme in our group. And so I kind of wanted to touch on that. I had started 9-week control freak, but it just does not work in my apartment. So I'm going to be able to do it when we move, which I was super bummed about because I was starting to really love it. But I think the common theme was people were thinking it was too easy or not challenging enough or any like variation of that. So what I wanted to kind of talk about was how these trainers go through so much to create the programs that they release to us, and kind of following along with Autumn as she was filming 9-week control freak, and then seeing Amwala's stories because he's doing a new program this summer, kind of like seeing those is like there's so much that goes on behind the scenes that we don't even know about. But also I trust the fact that Beachbody would not choose trainers who don't actually know what they're doing. They wouldn't put out a program that isn't going to get you one results, but also that isn't going to be effective for like anyone who does it. And so what I've really started to learn is, okay, yeah, today's workout might have felt maybe not as challenging as every other workout that I've done. But the one thing that Autumn has said is I'm using Autumn as an example because I know so many people are doing 9-week control freak, is you can't just jump right in at like a week 6 difficulty, like, because then where are you going to progress from there? But also you will feel so defeated. Like you have to start somewhere so that you can build up to kind of like pushing yourself and like going harder. And doing 4 weeks of the prep right now, I've really realized that the majority of the struggles that I feel in a workout is mental. Like 100% it is mental. Okay, can I keep pushing harder? Can I do more? Can I lift more weights? Like things like that. That's all a mental game. And so if we were to like just jump right in halfway through a program, we wouldn't have worked that mental muscle, not even just like our physical muscles, but we would not have worked those mental muscles enough to really feel like we are capable to continue and do things like that. And along with that is taking the rest days, because they are there for a freaking reason. And I know we all have trouble with rest days. I do too. Today's a rest day for me. I mean, I very much need it. But on some days, like me personally, I don't like taking rest days during the week, but I know that they're there for a reason. I know that whichever trainer's programs I'm doing right now, they put a rest day wherever they put it, because they know, okay, this is where your body is going to need that rest, even if you don't really feel it. Because one of the things, so what I did to finish 80-Day Obsession, because I took a couple unscheduled or unplanned rest days throughout the program in order to start 9-week control freak with everyone else, I powered through and didn't take rest days a couple times, and I could feel it by the end. I might not have felt it going through, but by the end I was like, holy crap, I've just been beating my body and not giving it that time to really rest and kind of like recharge so that I can keep pushing myself. And so I think that's just like the perfect example of taking a rest day where it is like scheduled, but also the workout calendar is not like the end all be all, because okay, yeah, 1 week I might not have the ability, or like something might come up and I took an unscheduled rest day, so that I just won't take the one that was scheduled. And I think that is completely fine as long as you're not doing it all the time, just because the trainers have put a lot of thought into it. But that has come up for me so many times, like, oh, I woke up really not feeling good, not like, I just really can't do this today. So I took the rest day. There we go. And then I'm just gonna not take it where it's scheduled in the rest of the week, and then just continue and kind of go on from there. And I think I've seen this, and I am not calling anyone out, because I feel like I definitely would have been guilty of this if I were to continue with 90-week control freak right now. But everyone kind of feeling like they have to do add-ons because they see someone else doing it, and Erica, and oh, the workout's only 30 minutes. Okay, I need to like add on a little bit extra. Like, oh, it's only week 1, so let me add an extra 10-minute like add on bonus every single day. Like, and I know, and I'm just laughing because I can see everyone who is like, yep, that was me. But I think also, I think the add-ons are there for a reason, but not to be used every single day or all the time, or else they would have been added in to that specific workout that day. Like, it's written the way that it is for a reason, but I also think it's great. Like, I have my calendar right here. Okay, so you had like a Tabata cardio day. Oh yeah, let me add on like 10 minutes of core bonus because I have the time today and I'm feeling really strong, but not because I feel like I have to. And I think that's where a lot of people get stuck, because they feel like they have to. For me, it was a struggle transitioning from 80-day obsession, where I was doing 60-minute workouts, to then starting 9-week control freak. And now I'm doing 4 weeks of the prep, which is also like 30 minutes a day. It was a very hard transition, because you're like, wait, I was just going for 60 minutes. I can keep doing that. Let me keep pushing and doing that. But they are structured so differently. Whereas like sometimes I think 80-day obsession could have been a little bit shorter because of the breaks that she gives you, but they're there for a reason. And then you go into 9-week control freak and you don't have a lot of rest time between sets, between reps and everything like that. So you are still working, even though you may feel like, oh, that was only 30 minutes. Like, let me do another one, or let me do doubles or things like that. But that is, I think, where people get stuck because they feel like they have to. And I've been guilty of it too. Like, oh, like I kind of treated myself like a little too much yesterday. Let me do a bonus today to like work off what I ate yesterday. But that is not how that works, even though we want to. And I think also that just puts the wrong mindset around like working out, because I very much think that we're trying to provide a community where we don't have to outwork our diet. Like, just because we had a couple of treats doesn't mean we have to do doubles the next day. Like, we're not trying to like we're not trying to exercise as a punishment for what we're eating. And I know that that's like a really hard thing for a lot of people, but I think it is also very important. And I know that we're all struggling with it. And I think I'm very grateful for everyone who has been very open and vulnerable to be like, wait, hold up. This is kind of where my thought process has been like with this. And I think this is why this has been going on. And then you just see everyone be like, oh, wait, yeah, that's me too, me too, me too, me too. And I think that really just opens up the conversation and lets you know that you are not alone, but you also don't have to do it alone. And also, it's okay if you feel that way, because I think so often we get stuck in the feeling of no one else feels this way. No one else feels this way. But we do. We just have to be open enough to kind of let that all out there. Let me check the chat because it is blowing up. I see Erica citing Brene Brown, but what else is new? Erica is Brene Brown, pretty much. Brene Brown of our group. Yes, how can I do more? And I think we don't have to do that. Wait, let me see. Yes. So Chelsea said feeling like getting stuck in like feeling like you have to be doing more, but that is very much not the case. It's been really hard to kind of take 2 rest days a week with 4 weeks of the prep, but I know my body freaking needs it. Like if you are pushing the way that you should be very grateful for those rest days. And I even caught myself this week because Wednesday, I think it was Wednesday, was a rest day for me. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll just do like a 10-minute bonus from 9-week Control Freak, like just to like get a little bit in. And I'm like, okay, but that's because like I caught myself mid thought and I was like, that is me feeling like I have to. Like I see everyone else showing up in the group working out today, but it's a rest day for me. I feel like I have to. But like just because it's a rest day for me and it's not a rest day for everyone else, like that's not an issue. Like I am very glad we all can do different programs and all still come together and kind of be there for each other. And then nutrition. So this is kind of what I was chatting with Erica about yesterday, kind of trusting the process of either ultimate portion fix or to be mindset. It doesn't matter which, but again, recognizing that these are designed and created with so much thought put behind them that they're designed and created that way for a reason. Because Erica asked me, well, which one do you follow? And I'm like, well, I kind of try to put them together. Like I kind of tried to like outsmart the system and put it into one. And I'm very much guilty of that and guilty in a sense of not trusting the process, of not wanting to believe that if I just stick with one, I can get results with one, and trying to mesh them together, like mesh the pieces of each together that I like and create my own. Was sure that could definitely work in certain situations in like short term, but the thing with both of these nutrition programs is it's supposed to be a lifestyle. Like it's supposed to be a continual thing. And I just got stuck in not wanting to put them or like give them their chance separately. And yes, Erica said, I think the biggest thing is why you are meshing them. And I felt like I was too like, okay, so this is me personally speaking. I know not everyone has these feelings about this, but with me, with the portion containers, I feel too restricted sometimes. And not in the sense that I'm not eating enough or it's not the right balance of whatever, but sometimes the thought of measuring out my food in the containers makes me feel very restricted. And so that's why I tried to like put it together with To Be Mindset rather than just trying to like just actually giving To Be Mindset a chance and not trying to like make up my own nutrition plan, because I can tell you I've tried to outwork a bad diet, and not even a bad diet, but just not fully giving my body the nutrients that it needs for so long. Literally, my mom and I go back and forth all the time about how, so for those of you who don't know, I was a gymnast literally from the time I was 4 until I graduated high school. And I would come home from school every day, eat an entire bag of Act 2 Butter Lovers popcorn, and then go to gymnastics for 3 hours. Like that was my pre-practice fuel, was an entire bag of popcorn. Like, good job, Jess. That is really fueling your body for going to go flip around for 3 hours. And we were just like, how did I do that for so long? And then I realized in college, I would try and work out, but I didn't want to change any of my eating habits. Like that's what I liked and I wanted to stick with it. I was like, oh, if I just work a little bit harder, like it will be fine. Like I'll still be able to like feel the way that I want to feel and like look the way that I want to look, but I don't have to change my diet. Like everyone else who says that, like, no, that's just not for me. And I really caught it recently that even now I am still very much trying to outsmart the nutrition programs and do it by myself, but also still trying to get results, but not really giving it my full 100% effort because I'm like, oh, they say I need like X amount of veggies. Nah, I don't really need that. Like, that's okay. Or, oh, it can only have like, not, okay, let me rephrase that. Not I can only have, but oh, they suggest having this many carbs. Okay, but if I just have like a granola bar every day too, like that's fine. Like it's not going to make a big deal. And yeah, in the short term it really wouldn't, but the fact that my thinking behind it was, oh, I can still add in all of these things and take away all of these things that I don't like and still get where I want to get. That's where the thinking is flawed because I was telling Erica the other day, I have my favorite snacks and my favorite foods, and I am not in a place where I'm going to give those up. I love extra toasty Cheez-Its. So do I want to have a little tiny bowl of them sometimes? Yes. Like, but do Brandon and I still make a conscious effort to not buy all of the snacks at the grocery store? Yes, 100%. But do I like coming home and having some Cheez-Its sometimes? Yes, I do. But I make sure I'm intentional about being like, okay, do I want these because I like them, I enjoy them, or did I have a really hard day and I'm just trying to eat my feelings? I was saying the other day or Friday, I had been thinking, I don't know if any of you have a PDQ near you, but we just tried it a couple months ago. It is so good. It's like Chick-fil-A, but like different. And I had been thinking about PDQ literally for like 3 days. It doesn't help that my client gets Chick-fil-A like literally every day and I have to like watch him eat it. So I was like, you know what? Today I'm going to treat myself in getting PDQ and I'm not going to feel guilty about it. And I just knew then, okay, come Saturday, I'm just going to jump right back in because to me, that is the way that I'm trusting the process because Autumn says it all the time too. She's the one who designed Ultimate Portion Fix for those of you who don't know. Um, yes, you can have a treat like and not feel guilty about it, but also recognize, okay, do I want this because I'm emotionally eating or because I really want it and I enjoy the taste of it? I really wanted it and I enjoyed the taste of it and I did not feel guilty about it. But then the next day, I was like, okay, I'm just not gonna go and do that again. And I'm going to just like jump right back in to making those healthy habits back into like my lifestyle once again. So I think, yeah, a lot of people are like, it's not, you don't have to, and I think that's what I love about both of these nutrition programs is you don't have to give up everything. You just have to kind of plan for it and like fit it in accordingly and make sure it's not like an everyday regular thing because I think that's where you're no longer trusting the process because you're not allowing yourself to kind of see how things can unfold and all of that. Um, yes. So even though, because Erica just talked about like the underlying drive behind the urges, and I've really tapped into that because there was a day, I think it was last week, and I had like one of the worst days at work. And I was driving home and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go get Bojangles. It's fine. Like it's just one day, like it's fine. But then I caught myself and I was like, no, because right now I want it because I had a hard day at work and those are old habits that I fall back on is getting fast food when I've had a hard day at work. I was like, you know what? I already have food made and ready that I just have to heat up. Let me go home and eat that instead because I know that today I am choosing that because of the things that I am feeling rather than because I actually do want it. Um, so I realized that was kind of all over the place, but that is also how my brain works. And I go off in like 12 different tangents, and I've realized I talk very, very fast. So, are there any questions? I can see everyone is in the chat again, which makes me so happy. East Coast fast talking. Yes, I have definitely that fast talking, actually. So here's another one of my tangents. I remember in 6th grade, I got the Mile a Minute award because I would tell stories to my teacher and literally like spit it all out, and she had like no idea what I even said because I was telling her so many stories in such little time. Okay, so if you have a question, feel free to, or like if you want to add anything, I am completely open to anyone adding what they have to say. You can go ahead and just like unmute yourself and kind of add to the discussion, because that's what I think this is really, is more of a discussion rather than let me just tell you all of my thoughts.
I just kind of wanted to add, I was kind of thinking, listening to what you were saying, and trusting the process is so huge. But, I have to look back at like my high school years and think about how, like, for us who are athletes, we would trust our coaches when it came to, following our workouts that day, or what we were doing to train for our meets or whatever it may be. And as we get older, you kind of like lose sight of like trusting that aspect of a structure. Going into 9-week control freak, I was kind of like, I'm nervous about this. First week, I wasn't sure really what to expect. I was like, but I love it. And to see that it's working for me is huge. But it's just kind of funny how when you're younger, you trust the process. And as you get older, you start to question it. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
No, I think that is so valid. And that made me think when my gymnastics coach would give us like our conditioning, that's what we called like a lot of our like outside workouts that wasn't gymnastics. We would never be like, are you sure that's it? Like, we don't have more today. We'd be like, are you sure we have to do all of that? Like, can't we like cut it down? And we would try and negotiate for less rather than more. And I think that is so valid, Brianna, because yes, we trusted them to give us the guidance and the tools that we needed. And I think if we kind of shift our mindsets with the trainers in the sense that, yes, there are coaches in a way, if we just kind of like follow along with them, that's exactly what they are. Or they are coaches, and we're kind of just following the workouts that they give us.
I'm just adding, my coach was a dick and he made us do a lot of things in soccer I didn't want to do.
Yeah, exactly.
This is just the like therapist-ish mental health professional in me, but I mean, shit happens. Sorry for those that have kids, but like shit happens and you're going to emotionally eat. So like preparing for that and like knowing that it's emotionally eating versus I'm just bored and I want to have all of the things in my pantry. And so like, if there are going to be days, or just like have it in your back pocket where like, okay, today's going to be a stressful day. I know it might be a little bit more like overly stressful than what I'm used to. And I know that I have these like Cheez-Its in my back pocket that's going to make me feel good. And that's okay. As long as I know that this is emotional eating versus like, I just want to have these Cheez-Its. Because life happens and things are going to be chaotic and you are going to be emotionally eating. And that's like not something to just turn off, because that's just like a coping skill. And at the same time, knowing that it's a coping skill versus relying on that all the time is what shifts that mindset of like, I need to have this versus I'm just having it because I'm PMSing right now and I need all the chocolate that I can have. That's me. So those are like, and I mean, chocolate for me is like my downfall for everything. And like, yes. I still sometimes get in this mindset of like, oh my gosh, I'm already so bloated. And like, I gained so much weight on this like week of like PMSing or whatever. And like, and I'm having like 5 handfuls of mini chocolate chips every single night. Like, what am I doing? This is a terrible thing for me. And then I get in that mindset of like, I should just quit, which is like so emotional.
But sometimes I get it the opposite.
Not realistic and not just, it's not reality, you know, like you're going to have those weeks where you're going to want to eat all of the things, and it's okay to eat all the things as long as you know that it's not taking over the rest of your journey, because it's just literally a chapter, maybe even the tiniest paragraph or maybe even a sentence compared to the whole entire book that we're working on. And so don't let those like emotional eating times reframe everything that you've worked hard for, and continue to work hard to get to those goals and that point. So
Yes, I think that is,
a mental health professional in me, because shit happens and
yes,
so emotionally eat.
I think that is so valid. And also taking away the guilt from that, because yeah, so 100%, I will still emotionally eat sometimes, but I try to actually really think about it before it does happen. And sometimes I'm like, yeah, I'm sad and I want to eat ice cream. I might not eat all of the ice cream, but am I going to have a little bowl? Yes, I'm going to. And kind of just reframing and really kind of like identifying the intention behind that, I think is really important.
Jess, you used earlier the word intentional, and like what Shanice was saying is a lot of what was going through my mind, because Chelsea also referenced in the chat, like getting rid of that deprivation mindset and like the impact that it makes to let go of that restrictive, I can't have that, and switching to, and it's so interesting because I know you use the word intentional. I know Chelsea told me yesterday that that's her word for the year, and it's literally the word that sits on my desk, because I think so much of the process and trusting a process is choosing to be
Mhm.
intentional in doing that. Because I like, there's blind trust, like there's blind faith. And I think when I was younger, I had this blind faith because I had this concept that adults, like, and fortunately I was privileged and safe enough to be able to have the concept that adults are safe and they're going to tell me what I need to know and be able to do that. And I recognized that as a child, that was there for me because they were safe. And as I got older, I think as the world around me started to get more unsafe, and I got really weary about like, what am I doing the right thing? Not only was it harder for me to trust anything outside of me, it was also harder for me to trust myself. And I think like trusting the process so much goes into, for me, how do I trust that the trainer knows what they're doing? But I also know how to trust myself to be aware of what I'm thinking and feeling and doing. Because theoretically, with 9-week Control Freak, it says everywhere that if you want to add an add-on, you can. You can do that. It is technically safe to add a 10-minute add-on to the workouts. And in my mind, I started and I was like, okay, I can trust that that's something I'm able to do. And then I started doing that, and I was like, and it came from like a fear-based mindset of like, I'm going to fall behind or I'm not going to have progress. And I also had to trust myself to know, even though that's an okay part of the program, what my body and what my mind are telling me are not, like, I have to trust myself also. And
Yes, I
finding that
think that is
balance of
so important.
awareness.
Yeah,
So I think for
because
me, like, it's the underneath too.
yeah, and that is so important. And I'm glad that you brought that up, because yes, it's not just trusting the trainers and trusting the creators of the nutrition program, but it's trusting yourself, like knowing that your feelings are valid. And okay, yeah, one day you might be feeling really good and want to do an add-on, but then another day, knowing and trusting yourself that, okay, no, this is not the best decision for me today, and kind of really taking that closer look at it. And also not only trusting the trainers, trusting yourself, but trusting the community and like trusting the group, because there have been so many times that like in my life where if things are getting hard or I'm struggling with something, I turn into myself and like I really try and handle it all myself. But then I'm like, but wait, there's all these people that I can go to that can help me work it through, because sometimes I don't need an answer. I just need, okay, well, try this or try this. And I know it's coming from a space that it's not like you have to do this to fix your problem. It's like, oh, yes, I totally hear your issues. I've been there. I've been in a similar situation, and this is what I did. And it kind of helped me. So it might be something that can help you. Or I know people have thrown up on the Facebook wall, hey, this is something I'm really struggling with. I don't really know who else to turn to about it, but here's what I'm dealing with today. I just needed to get this out because it is too much for me to hold by myself. And like Erica said, sometimes people don't need to be fixed. They just need to be seen. And I think that is so important because here I am going off on a tangent again, but on social media, we see everyone and think that they have it all put together, and we try and turn in, and we get into our heads of, okay, but why don't I have it all figured out? Why don't I have it all like they do? But then we realize once we get out of our head, we don't have it all together. They don't have it all together. And just being able to kind of have this community, and I think that's what everyone has like tried to build, is a space that people can just come to and be like, this is what I'm dealing with. Like, I don't have anywhere else that I can go and talk about it. Here is what I'm dealing with. Thank you for being kind of my place to talk about it. And I think that is so incredibly valuable. And yes, Shanice, I think we all are talkers, and that is an issue. I could talk for
I wanted to just add back to trusting. I think it's also, I've noticed I have to learn to trust myself in the way of not trusting myself, like recognizing that I can't trust myself not to do something. Um, for example, I'm like I was saying, I'm a sweet eater, emotional eater. I have to know that I can't trust myself to have that in my house right now. Like, or if I am going to buy it, I portion it out and put the rest where I can't see it, out of sight, out of mind. Something that I've had to learn to do was recognizing areas in my life that I know I can't be trusted. And that's kind of hard to say to yourself, that you can't trust yourself. But I also feel like then you'll learn to trust yourself in those areas. So it's just, like you said, it's trusting the process and knowing, just because I'm here doesn't mean I'm going to be there in a year from now or in 6 months from now. So I just kind of wanted to throw that out there too.
Yeah, I think that is so important. And going off of that is like what made me think of this is like trusting yourself to get out of your comfort zone, like, and kind of pushing past those limits that you believe that are there.
Absolutely. And I have to second the community this community has helped me set those boundaries and to be able to put myself more vulnerable and share things that I never felt comfortable sharing ever before. So just to be able to have this community to come to be able to express, my hard days, my good days, my ups and downs is huge.
Yes.
So thank you all.
And Brie, I think like hearing you say that and Shanice talking about boundaries were so hard for me to set for myself because I constantly I constantly derived my value from what I could give to others. So I felt like when I set boundaries that said I'm going to give to myself first, it made me feel like I was less than. And I think that process of truly like meeting yourself where you're at means not just looking at what skills you have and like what boundaries are around you right now. It means looking at like what skills you don't have, like what tools are not in my toolbox that I'm going to need when I go along my way. Because if I'm trying, like, and I know like this is one of the horses that I beat, but like, if I'm trying to climb a mountain and I'm going on an 11-day hike, I can't take my day pack. If I take my day pack, I'm going to fail because I'm not prepared for where I'm going. And sometimes that means I need to go back to the store. I need to go back to the planning board and figure out what I need to put in there before I start taking that hike. Or I need to take a shorter hike first and like not feel like, oh my God, like, why couldn't I make this like ridiculous hike? Like, that's not where I started. And that's fine. Like, I didn't get on my bike. Like, I was not the kid that got on my bike and just started pedaling. I had training wheels until I was 11 years old. Like, and then I had to take off one at a time. And like, if I, like, every single time I tried to just take those wheels off, I failed. And it's just like, the community, I think, is so helpful. Because I think it takes the shame out of it, because to be completely honest, like I was really struggling with upping my bracket and not doing the add-ons. And I think being able to say that in the group and have Megan say like, I'm doing the same thing, and have Katie say like, I'm doing the same thing, and literally know, like, it's not just like, if it had been just me by myself, I would have continued to do it anyway, because I didn't have somebody to reality check that it was okay not to overdo it all the time.
Yes, exactly.
That was freaking me though. Like when we overdo it, I feel like and not trust the process, like I started gaining weight. Like I started gaining like swelling and bloat and water weight. Like my body was holding onto my food, but I was doing more work. I was adding on like 3 add-ons a day, which is first of all stupid. Like I shouldn't have been doing that. And then I was trying to eat less, like eat in a lesser bracket. And my mindset was like, oh, I'm going to be at a higher deficit. Like I'm going to see more toning and more progress faster, like doing more and seeing results faster. But that's like not how these programs are set up. Like these are like long-term lifestyle changes and not just like, oh, do all this and try and shove all of this in a shorter period of time and deprive your body of what it needs. You're not going to see results that way. And they're built the way they are for a reason. So here's my spiel on that.
But also kind of going off of trusting the process, know what works best for you, because with 80-day obsession, I never did time to nutrition because that doesn't work for me. My body, I've said it before, props to everyone who can have a pre-workout meal, snack, whatever. I can, like, I feel like I'm 500 pounds. I feel super heavy and it doesn't
Lower
to me. And it's not even, and I went back and forth because I was like, but I need to fuel my body to work out, but also, okay, I'm doing that, but I'm then just like feeling sluggish, like through my workout. So for me personally, time to nutrition doesn't work for me right now. It might in the future, but right now it doesn't work for me just because that's not the way that my body is, but that also doesn't discount that it doesn't work for other people. And I think that's the biggest thing is just because something doesn't work for you doesn't mean it doesn't work at all, period. It might work for someone else, but it also doesn't mean that it never will work for you. Like I might get to a point where I'm like, dang, I really need to eat like before I work out. But right now that's just like not the case. And so I think that also goes back to trusting yourself and trusting what you know is best for you, like wherever you are at, if that makes sense. A lot of trust in everyone, in yourself, in the community, in the trainers, just trust. I feel like I'm Shaun T because Shaun T is always like, trust and believe.
I think it's also, it's hard to, oh, sorry, Erica.
Go ahead, Shanice.
I was going to say it's hard to trust someone that you've never met before, you know? So like when you go to YMCA groups and, you know, when you go to fitness groups or you go to like all of these things, well, yes, it's hard to trust, period. But like, it's hard not to trust a trainer that you are able to like have a conversation with and be like, this is my body. This is how I'm feeling. Like, what do you think I should be doing differently? And just like trust that they're going to know that no matter like the program that they created is going to work for all of these different types of people and these different types of bodies and everything. And so I think for the longest time I had to be like, we're doing workouts online. Like, how does Autumn even know, like, this is my body shape? Like she's shaped like this. And then, you know, but there's a lot of different representation within Beachbody as a whole. And so learning to just trust the process. And you've seen that it works with all of these different types of people too, right? So like learning to trust that if it's going to be able to work for them, then trust that it's going to work for you too. But yes, hashtag trust issues because it's a serious thing. And yeah.
Yeah, I don't trust anything. And that's been like, I feel like this entire process has been like, cause when I restarted everything, for those of you that don't know me or like my story, like I started in 2016 and fell off like probably a solid, like at least 6 different times, including actually quitting, even though I wasn't paying anything for coaching. And a lot of it went into like, I didn't trust myself. So I didn't trust anybody else because the world was so scary. So I just figured if I ran faster, harder, and never stopped, that then I finally would get to a place where everything would be okay. And instead, I really needed to check myself and stop and listen and be where I was. And that was like the last thing I wanted to do because I was terrified that I would do that and nothing would change. So yeah. Yeah. And Megan, I think that's huge too. Like my weight loss bracket is bracket A. Every single time I eat in bracket A, I can sustain for 2 weeks and then I bottom out. I have always done better in bracket B. And like it took me 4 years to get to the point where I was able to trust my body enough to be like, you can eat bracket B and you're not going to, like, nothing terrible is going to happen to you because your self-worth is not tied to whatever happens to your body. And I think
And that's
that
where
was
I
a
was
big
at
one.
with that. It was like, I was like, the program's telling me to eat A, but my body is telling me to eat B. Because I mean, my hunger cues and like my brain fog and stuff like that, like the program's going to tell you one thing, but once you get to a certain point, like bracket A is not sustainable for me. And that's where I was at. I did the first 3 weeks of this program in bracket A, and my body was like, girl, give me some more food, because it was just not good.
And understanding that that could be different depending on the program that you do, because I've noticed my hunger also changes based on the workout that I did for that day. Like, okay, was today purely cardio or like purely strength training? That's going to change kind of my natural hunger cues for the day, and like recognizing that that's normal and that's okay and you're not weird.
And that it's okay, like that less isn't more and more isn't necessarily more. And I think that's the big thing, is like, okay, like I almost had to sit with myself because I went to see and I'm like, what is it that I'm so afraid of? Like, is it afraid that I'm going to gain weight? And if I do gain weight, so what? If that's what my body needs, so what? So really looking at like, what is truly the fear underneath that? And is that fear something that aligns with my values? Because if my value is to nourish like a healthy and like a safe, healthy relationship with myself that's built on love and respect, and I'm not going to give myself what I need because I'm scared of gaining weight or I'm scared of losing progress, that's not meeting my core goal. And it's like constantly going back to like, why am I here? What are my goals? What is my value? And I need to check myself in that a lot. And it's not easy. And I wouldn't do it without the group, to be honest, because I wouldn't hold myself accountable to it. So
Yes.
I totally agree with that. I also just want to throw out there, wow, I keep saying that a lot today. Sorry, everybody. I was kind of just thinking about trusting the process. You know, so many of us, including myself, especially at a younger age, I was like, oh, I gained 10 pounds. I need a quick fix. Like, let me search this diet that's going to, you know, make me lose 10 pounds in 2 weeks or in a week or whatever it may be. Like, what kind of pills can I take that I don't have to put in the extra work, blah, 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 blah. And now being here, it's kind of crazy to watch where my life and how this process is going for me, and to realize that it works as long as you give it time and that you put the effort into it. And I absolutely am I'm in awe. Like, I started this when I was pregnant because I was so scared of dying because I was getting preeclampsia once again. And I was like, I got to do something to keep myself going, not only just to help with my stress level, but to help with my blood pressure, you know. And now to be where I am now, almost 4 months postpartum, I feel stronger than I ever did with any of my other children. And a lot of that is with the community. The community has made me feel stronger mentally and emotionally and not be so scared to show who I am. So to look back at the person I was, 10 years ago, wanted that quick fix, to now look at this person that's like actually trusting the process and moving forward into where I'm at. I would, if I could go back and tell myself 10 years ago not to do that, to go where I am now, I would in a heartbeat.
Yeah. And going off of that, like how you said, you have to put in the work, like you will see the results if you put in the work. Like, these things work if you yourself work. Again, yes, it is not a quick fix. It's not like, oh, hey, just like drink this magic unicorn potion and you'll be good to go. It's like, okay, I have to actually put in some work here, but I know I'm getting something in return for doing that. And honestly, I think that is so much more valuable and something you're way more likely to stick with, rather than just kind of, oh, hey, let me just take this pill and I'll magically lose all this weight. Then you're just going to always rely on that rather than kind of putting in the work. And yes, I'm here for the Trent Shelton quote. You will get hobby results if you are putting in hobby work. Yes. Okay. Any other comments, questions, concerns?
I don't have any. I will be putting the recording up. I wanted to say welcome because I know we do have people that are on here that are here for the 2 weeks, and like everything will start posting in that group today. And we're like, thank you guys for being here and trusting. And If you want to be in that group, the 2 weeks is that free week. Oh my God, I can't talk. Free like trial, just introduction. We'll be putting up workouts every day. If you've already done some of the workouts, I put in the files tab a whole bunch of the free trials. So if there's one that you want to try instead, check in the files. It has alternates. If you look at one, you're like, I'm not freaking doing that. Like, go ahead, choose a different one. And just I know you started, you're like, I'm not going to take very long. God, I feel like your voice though, like hearing your story and your voice is what makes these calls so valuable. So thank you for sharing.
And thank you for being here, everyone. It makes me happy to and this is much more my style. Like, I know some people thrive with like, here's a presentation and here's this, but no, I kind of just like spit it all out and whatever comes into my head is what happens. But then I enjoy the kind of discussion that is then woven into that, especially with topics like this, like, because I think everyone does have different experiences and all of those experiences are valid. And I know that sounds very cheesy and corny, but it is very true. So thank you everyone for being here and spending some time with us on your Sunday. Oh my goodness. Have a Saturday because I did all my homework.
Tomorrow's Monday. If you work on Monday, it's Monday tomorrow.
It is Monday tomorrow. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, guys.